wall that I built with my own two hands and only used people to help lift the walls. Every single thing else was done by myself.
Did men lift the walls?
You say what?
Did men lift the walls?
Wait, hang on. Don't do that. The poor man says, I already know.
That's the things that I can do. All they can do is bring me a glass of water and ask me, am I all right?
Oh my God. Yo, what's going on, bro?
What is a man?
A man
By the way,
is...
I'm gonna call you poor, and I don't want you to be mad about it.
Oh, no, I'm broke. I wouldn't be mad about that.
Can you give your age and pronouns before you contribute?
I'm 29, and I'm a she, her.
She, her?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Here we go. So what is a man? How do you define manliness?
A man is a adult male. Adult human male, to be more specific.
So you're describing a male. What's a man? So you're talking about biology. We're talking about sociology. So if we're talking about what makes somebody a man, what is that to you?
Oh, like what makes somebody a man, or specifically what is a man, by definition?
What makes somebody a man? What makes somebody manly? So you described a male, which is a biological term. We're talking about the sociological term man.
But that's what a man is, an adult human male.
Gotcha. So you view those as
biological.
I actually find the second question a little bit more interesting than the first one. The first one seems to be a gimme.
Yeah, it kind of is a gimmick because I get asked what's a woman all the time. So this was my response. So let's talk about the second one. Go ahead.
I think you define manliness through a man's willingness to strive for masculine virtues.
Which are what?
Protection, specifically.
Do you think protection is a way? Okay. You know what? Okay. Keep going, the Poor Man's Podcast. Keep going. Cook. I'm gonna let you cook.
Well, I think because men have the men have the monopoly on force.
The what?
Men have the monopoly on...
Back up. No, back up. I heard you. What was you about to say?
Men have the monopoly on force.
That's not what you were gonna say.
Well, this is what I'm trying to say. Since men have the monopoly on force, and that kind of grants us with the ability to protect a little bit differently than women. And I think things that we contribute to manliness are things that associate with men becoming more capable of pursuing the masculine virtue of protection.
Do you think men are inherently protectors?
Yes.
Who do we protect?
We protect society. We protect our families, women, children, and each other, hopefully. Our comrades.
Who do we protect them from? Who do we protect them from?
We protect them from the harshness of reality, nature, and other men specifically.
Hang on now, because I'm not talking about hurricanes. Who do we protect? Society, children, women, everybody, family.
You can't be specific about that and take away hurricanes, because we do protect from hurricanes too, because we protect from everything.
Podcast, I just specified I'm not talking about hurricanes. So who meaning, who do we protect people from?
People who try to intrude on the sovereignty of the people we love.
We're getting closer. Who are those people?
If you want me to just say man or woman, men, because I understand this this direction too, and we could go down this road too. But yes,
great. So let me ask you this question.
But specifically, though, I'm sorry. Let me be a little bit more specific. Bad men we consider to intrude on the sovereignty of the people we love.
Right, but you said that it's inherently.
But you said men are. Men are inherently protectors. Why? There can't be bad men.
Yeah, but I'm talking about. Well, I'm saying manly. No. There definitely can be bad men, because there are some guys. We wouldn't consider it manly for a man to trample on the weak. That's not manly. If we're talking about manliness, I'm talking about pursuing the masculine virtues of protection.
Hang on,
Is
men
manly?
are rewarded. Men are rewarded for trampling on the weak all the time.
Yeah, they may be rewarded physically, but you wouldn't call that manly. We wouldn't associate that with
manly. Men do.
Agree.
If a UFC fighter goes and punches a kid, you wouldn't call that manly. If a UFC fighter goes and punches a guy who's also a UFC fighter, you call that manly. And it's really just because I'm just saying it's because it's a signal towards the ability to protect better.
No, it's a signal towards violence.
Yeah, and since men have the monopoly on violence, we have to be capable of being violent towards those who try to intrude on the sovereignty of the people we love.
So the Poor Man's Podcast, you see how many times you've mentioned violence and harm in your definition of manliness, right?
Yeah,
it's a requirement to be able to fight and harm others and protect others from people causing harm and, being violent.
Yeah, is that
true?
Yeah, and that's a masculine virtue. Yes, not only other people though, but also animals too. Since animals are capable of violence, men have to be capable.
I'm talking about people.
Okay. Well, we started with masculinity and manliness, and that attributes to the virtues of protection, and the protection is more widespread. But if you want to just only specifically talk about other men who try to intrude on the sovereignty of the ones you love, we can only talk about those men too. But there are other things that we use our violence to protect from.
Yeah,
so
I'm not talking about.
Fight like a lion. How are you going to fight like a lion if it comes?
Well, historically speaking, men gathered in groups and threw rocks at them.
Sure.
Okay. Hang on. Let's not go down because first, no, we're not gonna do that.
Well, she just asked the question. I answered it. That's how you deal with a lion.
I know. But it's objectively ridiculous.
Hey, I'm the host, and I wanted to know. Because he says he's fighting animals. But okay, Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, but there's subtext to the nature thing where people try to apply that, and I don't like letting that fly.
I just wanted to see what he was going to say, but go ahead.
Well, Tomo, I think the issue here is that violence is an underlying principle of nature, and I think probably because people have to, things in general.
That right there, that is why I don't like.
He just muted me again, Chad. That's why I couldn't finish.
When we try
what did he say?
He said violence is something quality of nature. It's like natural. Violence is natural, and therefore
I hate appeals
we need
to nature.
What I was saying here is that violence is an underlying principle of nature, probably because not only humans but things have to eat, and in order to eat something, you have to be more capable of violence and aggression than that thing. Not only that, but also in order to have resources which are finite, humans and things have to be capable of violence and aggression in order to get those things and also to protect those things. That was the point that I was trying to make, but they muted me so I couldn't finish it.
Yeah, we need to be able. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I don't want to go down that road, is because then that's how people defend tying in masculinity with violence and the ability to.
Or homophobia.
I just wanted to hear how he was
on
going
and
to
on
fight
and
it.
on.
Well, I'm going to justify.
Callisto, I know what your point was, but there's a subtext to when dudes, no offense, dudes like this try to start talking about nature, like what he just said. Mm-hmm. Violence is natural, right? And so what we're doing is we're excusing the fact that men are the people who are being violent. Bo, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, just to finish the thought. Yeah. Oh wait, was I? Oh, okay. It's somebody else. I thought we were just debating. I didn't know.
So, what I need to know from you,
We're going door knocking,
sir,
Okay.
is what.
I have to be very careful here, y'all, because they will mute you and kick you. So you kind of got to play their little.
When we're just kind of
PC
like
game.
out and about.
You said what protects women when you're out and about?
Who protects us? So if you all are the protectors, who protects us when we're out and about? Like you don't know me from a can of paint and somebody's trying to harm me. What you gonna do? You gonna protect me?
Well, it just depends on the scenario. It depends on if
you are not a protector, sir. See, that's what I'm talking about. You all.
You didn't let me
not
finish.
protecting
You
anyone.
didn't even
It
let me
doesn't
finish my
matter.
answer.
What you didn't say was, yes, I would protect you, because that's what a protector would say. See, me, if I see a person, it doesn't matter who it is. If I see a person getting harmed, I am going to do something.
And that is that you have a duty to protect the sovereignty of the people you love. You don't have to protect everybody, because protection automatically comes with conditions and circumstances. For example, I wouldn't protect a child molester. That would be a condition and circumstance. That doesn't mean that I'm not a protector. It just means that I'm not going to protect that individual person because they don't align with me. Again, you have a duty to protect the sovereignty of the people that you love. And if they're outside of that, or you don't see fit to protect those people, it doesn't mean that you're less manly. But if you do go out of your way to protect a person who is weaker, in a situation where they need protection, I think that would be associated with manliness and bravery. And this is why traits like bravery, stoicism, and all these different traits are associated with masculinity, because they ultimately contribute to you being able to better protect and provide. This just goes further into my point also that women will try to shame men for toxic masculinity, but women actually love toxic masculinity, whatever that word means. Really, it's just the signs of aggression and violence. Women will try to shame men out of that behavior, but they actually love it, but they only love it when they can weaponize it for the benefit of other women. Like in this example, she's going to point out that she wants me to go to protect some random woman, and if I'm not willing to do that, then I'm not a man. But aren't violence and aggression bad things? Isn't that a contradiction? Well, it's only because women actually love toxic masculinity, but only when they can weaponize it. If they don't get the benefits of it, they don't like it.
Protection.
You didn't let me follow up.
The answer was no. The answer was, well, I mean, so, because you were finna qualify. You were about to say, right, it depends.
Yeah, because it does depend, and I was gonna.
If you are a protector, you are going to protect. It does not depend. See, for me, it doesn't depend. People, no matter who they are, I don't have to know what your background is, how many bodies you got, who you did something. As a matter of fact, if in fact the man that unalived my child, you hear man, that unalived my child,
can we continue the discussion, please? This is not the discussion.
Don't interrupt, Bo.
She interrupted me. That's the whole point. That's why we're here. She's not letting me finish.
Hang on. Bo, don't forget your point. Poor Man's Podcast. You are new here, so I'm going to reiterate this. Bo, first off, I don't know if Bo is a mod or not. I can't remember. It don't matter. She is effectively a mod here, as am I. So if I interrupt you, or if Bo interrupts you,
it's allowed.
You're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely,
yeah, okay.
It's allowed. But you cannot interrupt Bo when she is talking.
You're getting cooked in this conversation. This is why you're doing this.
Poor Man's Podcast.
Y'all are getting cooked.
You're on strike 2, gang.
Also, so after Bo's point, I have a question.
Bro said I'm a mod.
Trouble. I would still at least call the police for him, because you know why? He is a
the
human,
police are men. They're men that protect. What'd you say?
Also, what I'm saying is that protection and like actually making the world safer for people, it goes deeper than just the moments where you get to play the hero.
Okay,
and
in society, who holds the role for protection then? It's women?
Oh my gosh.
Everybody holds the role for protection in society? So if there's a man and a woman in a house, traditionally speaking, or just commonly speaking, who's the one that's gonna go check if there's a loud noise at the door?
Okay, so what Bo was saying, one of the things she said that was a very good point, is if you are only concerned about protecting your people, men are, well, I'm not saying men are selfishly motivated, but Bo said that and I don't disagree. But what I'm saying is if you're only concerned about protecting what you view as yours, like in that situation, and you're not concerned about protecting everybody who needs protection, then you're not a natural protector.
But that was the point that I was making in the beginning. I said you're protecting the sovereignty of the people you love. I love. Protecting the sovereignty of the people you love. You don't have to protect everybody. You don't have a duty to protect everybody. You have a duty to protect the people you love.
Bo literally said, you are protecting people that are only in direct relation to you.
Yeah, but that's just making my point. I said that from the start. It's the sovereignty of the people you love. That's making my point.
That's just an extension of yourself. You happen to have an investment in that person, so you want to make sure they're safe. That doesn't mean you actually care about people being safe.
This is the society that we live in. Grown adults saying verbal violence.
I think that you need to listen more than you talk, because I don't like.
The reason why I interrupt is because, like, when ladies start talking about this stuff, they go on like 3-minute monologues.
I don't think that age is a factor in a lot of ways. But I do think.
But yeah, what we were getting at, as well as everything Bo said. So verbal violence is its own real violence, but also when we're talking about
there's no such thing as verbal violence. Violence is automatically
violence
is physical. That's literally the definition. There's no verbal violence.
Not literally the definition. I'm literally a violence prevention educator. There are a lot of different forms of violence, but verbal violence is its own problem. But it also, when we're talking about examples like the one I gave you, and most examples of verbal violence, it is directly related to physical violence as well. So if you're not shutting down those things at the bottom of the pyramid on the screen there, then you are not helping protect people from the stuff at the top. Okay? That's what I'm saying.
So if
Go
you
ahead.
don't have conditions under which you will protect, you are automatically not a protector? Because I would assume that everybody has
Correct.
conditions for what they will protect and what they won't protect.
You said it's natural manliness to be a protector.
Yes.
So now you're putting conditions all around it.
Yeah, because protection has conditions inherently. Yeah.
Okay.
Because to you,
No, you're
it's
describing
transactional.
transactions. You're describing a transaction.
No, if there's a man harming a woman, I'm not going to protect the man because I don't protect men who harm women.
Poor man's
That's the
podcast.
condition.
No. But you also don't stop them or interrupt them or call them out.
I think you're breaking up, Tamu. I think you're breaking up a little bit.